DJ Lady Diva here. That track there is New Bounce off of Oli Silk's new album number 6, or just 6. Welcome, Oli Silk, to my platform.
Oh, Brenda, it's a pleasure. Thank you so much for having me. How are you doing today?
I am doing great that I got Oli Silk on my show.
Oh, bless your heart. Thank you.
All right. I would like to let everyone know that Lady Diva is calling from Evansville, Indiana. And I represent also my internet radio station here locally here, WJCB Live 99.9. Check out this show to be played on my radio station locally here in Evansville, Indiana. And I have my guest, Oli Silk, calling from London. Is that correct?
That's correct. Just outside of London, Brenda. Yeah.
Yes. Oh, my gosh. All right, London fans out there. My guest line number, you should know it. Call on in. It's free to call in and give us a shout-out on how we're doing. And that first song there, New Bounce, off your new album, 6. What's the inspiration? What's the story behind the music?
Oh, Brenda. Well, firstly, thank you for being so nice and glowing about my music. It really means a lot to me. This particular tune, New Bounce, was a collaboration with a fantastic saxophone player named Vincent Ingala, who's a young, I guess he's young by my standards, young guy who I've been working alongside on shows and recording for probably around 15 years nearly now. And he's just such a talent. He plays great saxophone, great guitar, great drums even. But he's had an illustrious recording career already. And we finally got to work together, and he finally put some sax on this track for me. And it was it's probably the last track we recorded on the album. And Vincent just came to London. It was about 2.5 years ago. He came to London and did some shows. And I said to him, Vincent, man, I got this jam that would sound great with you on it. Maybe we can write something over the top. And he did it, man. He knocked that right out of the park.
Yeah.
So thank you to Vincent.
Wow. I tell him, I said thank him too. He sounds great.
Yeah.
Sounds great. Just so fresh. And I would like to introduce you to the audience. Now, Oli Silk is a keyboardist, well known in the UK as the Smooth Jazz Ambassador. And so you can fill in introducing yourself and how long you've been in the industry, and how many albums have you created so far, Oli?
Sure thing, Brenda. Yeah, I've been in the business for pretty much 20 years now, I'd say, just a little over 20 years actually. And I started out with a buddy of mine in college, and we made a couple of records back in the early 2000s, and they did kind of well over here in the UK and in Europe. We were just kind of messing around at the time, as you do when we were young musicians. We just literally had a very basic recording setup. And we just kind of did our thing, and a record company over here in the UK got to hear it, and they really liked it. So they put the first one out, and that led to a second record. The band was called Sugar and Silk, so it was a duo of me and another guy who played bass. So that was cool. That kind of got me on the map, and then I worked with a great sax player called James Vargas, and I produced a record for him back in 2004, and that was the first time that I worked with something that started to get a little bit of attention in the US, and that got the attention of a record label named Trippin'N'Rhythm Records.
Okay.
And after we put the James Vargas record out, and we did some touring with it in 2004 and 2005. That was the first time I came to the States to do some musical direction for James. Then after that, I actually did my first record for Trippin' Records, and I've been with them ever since. So I've now done 6 records, solo records with Trippin'N'Rhythm Records, and that's over the last 16 years. And yeah, we've had a great relationship. One of the guys at the record label is over here in London, and the other guy is in Utah. And so we have a great working relationship. And yeah, I've just been making music ever since, and I've been very, very lucky that a lot of my music has found its way onto US radio, and with people like yourself really, pushing it and promoting it. I've built up quite a big fan base over there in the US, and I've been able to tour my music pretty much every year, apart from the last couple of years, every year since then.
Yes, I've been following you for like a couple of years, and I was surprised the invitation went through. I was jumping for joy. I couldn't believe it.
No.
And
of
I
course.
noticed that I've heard you the go-to guy, because you're the sideman keys player for a lot of big artists like Gerald Albright, Brian Culbertson, Boney James, Dave Koz, Pieces of a Dream, Euge Groove, Paul Brown, Peter White. Oh, wow, it's just so good. And
oh, yeah.
So, yes, I mean, golly. And I noticed that you are Billboard top 30 hits for guitarist Roberto, I can't pronounce his last name.
Oh, yeah, Roberto Restuccia, yeah.
Yes, there you go, for in 2020. And Billboard number 1 for saxophonist Michael Thomas in 2018. So also you composed music for TV Oprah Winfrey.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, MTV, Oprah Winfrey,
MTV.
some TV shows over there, HBO stuff.
Yeah, and also 100 smartphone gaming apps for Zynga Games and others. Get down, Oli Silk. Get down.
I guess I've been busy, right? Yeah.
Yes, you have. Get down. So as we move along in the show, let's talk about album 6. What sparked you off in doing album 6, number 6 album? What sparked you off? What is the inspiration behind it?
Well, I obviously I try and record and I try and release an album every few years if I can. I don't put out the most product out of artists. Some guys are doing it once a year. I admire that. I don't know how they do that, but it takes me a few years to put a record out. And I had a couple of songs that this is usually what happens. Usually I have a couple of tunes that don't make it onto the previous record for whatever reason. I have too many songs or whatever. I have to cut a couple. So usually I revisit those, and that's usually how the next record starts. I go back to those songs. I decide if they're going to be good enough. And in this case, a couple of them stood out for 6. One of them was New Bounce. I'd had that song, even though it didn't have Vincent on it and it didn't have any melody on it. It just was the groove. I had that groove for so many years sitting there, and I never did anything with it. And as I said, it wasn't until Vincent came along that I was like, let's vibe with that groove and see if we can get something. So there was a couple of things on there. Also, I had a great backing track. One of the first things I did on it was with a sax player named Jeff Kashua, who you probably know, Jeff. He's a fantastic sax player and flute player, one of my all-time favorites. He was in the sax, he still is in the Sax Pack, which is a great band with him and Steve Cole and Kim Waters. So, and Jeff used to play with the Rippingtons and lots of other big smooth jazz acts. So that was the first collaboration I did on this record, and that really set the foundations for the direction of the record and the way I wanted to take it forward.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you for that information. So I would like to give ourselves a break from talking and play Out to Lunch. What's the story behind that track there, Out to Lunch?
All right. Well, Out to Lunch has been very good to me. It's actually, it just did 2 weeks at Billboard number 1, which was beyond my expectations by a long way. it was kind of one of those things. Like this was the third single from this record. We had New Bounce with Vincent to begin with, and then we had another tune called Hurry Up and Wait as the second single. And they both went to the top of the charts, which was unbelievable, really, especially in the tough couple of years that we've had. Like, to have that going on in the background it really kept my focus, and it kept me on top of things with the music, because other parts of music had really fallen apart and I wasn't doing any shows, and it was really tough times, but that really kept me going. And then we had and then I had a conversation with my record label, and they actually weren't sure if they were going to do a third single from the record, because they said, well, sometimes we don't really like to. We'd like you to do a new record, and then we'll put something out. And I said, okay, well, I'm cool either way. If you wanted to put something out, then it's up to you. And in the end, they said, you know what? Yeah, we're gonna try Out to Lunch, which is the song you're about to hear. Mm-hmm. And I said, okay. I thought, actually that was kind of a crazy choice, because it's not acoustic piano. It's actually a Fender Rhodes electric piano lead melody on this, which is unusual in the genre. You don't often hear that. And it's kind of a spacey track. It's kind of a cute track. It's a bit unusual, and I was like, okay, if you want to go with it, I'm cool. And little did I realize that it was going to be a smash hit. I mean, I couldn't believe it, Brenda. Honest to God, I could not believe it.
Well, it threw me.
So, yeah, it's just.
I said that's
so there we were. This thing was going up the charts. I couldn't believe it. Anyway, so I'll let you guys listen to it and see what you think. But basically, I kind of based this song on one of my favorite keyboard players of all time, which is Bob James. He's he's one of the main men in my life from influences. But he did a song called Nautilus, which is an old song way back, like 1979, I think it was, which was the year I was born. I think it came from that year. And that's a fantastic hip hop kind of meets jazz tune. Yeah, and so this was kind of based loosely on that. I wanted to have something in that kind of vibe. And I came up with this, Out to Lunch.
All right, so you stay in that hot seat, Oli Silk. We'll be right back.